Why are you not happy in your relationship? In today's video, I have 3 problems, 3 main things and the reason that you are not happy in your relationship. It's gonna take a top-down approach, the top being the hardest problems to solve, but the cool thing is, for each idea, I have 3 key problems, and for each of those problems, I have a fixed every single one. With that being said, I'm gonna help you break down 9 different things of why you're not happy in a relationship and how to fix each and every one of them. As someone who has been in an 8-year relationship and deems that pretty successful on its own, I'm very happy in my relationship. I wanna share what I know about relationships and how to make relationships successful. The first piece is going to be misaligned core values and goals. This can be something that is hard to solve, but again, none of these problems are impossible to solve. So if you have misaligned core values and goals, this can look like differences in life goals. Whether that's career, maybe you have one partner who strives to make all this money and own their own business, and you have another partner that just wants to work a 9-to-5. Both outcomes and paths are completely okay, but if you have a mismatch, it can be hard to deal with. Another example could be one partner wants to have kids, one partner does not want to have kids. How do you handle that stuff? Another thing can be, what is the meaning of life, or how you live your life in a certain way? And that's kind of life goals. Like, are you want to be really religious? Do you not want to be religious? How does that look? And that can be difficult to deal with when you have that mismatch. It can create a lot of frustration between each other because you feel like you guys don't even understand each other. But the fix to that is going to be conversation. And for me, is that my goals are the most important. So if I was in a circumstance where I had a partner that didn't support my life goals or actually hindered me from my life goals, I would probably separate from that partner. And I'm not saying you have to do that, because in my relationship, we had to undergo work and conversation, but what's helped us in this area of life goals is actually regular conversation. Like, hey, in this next 5 years, this is what I'm gonna take on. Are you ready for this? Hey, and then she communicates, hey, this is what I need from you, or these are my life goals. Just regular conversation can make a huge difference in this. So I would encourage you to not just think that the relationship needs to end because you have a difference in life goals, but communicate your goals, understand that everybody's goals are important within the relationship, and see how you can create synergies and help each other out. Another thing with misaligned core goals and values is conflicting beliefs or values. And what I mean by that is that religious values, money values, personal ethics. Is this person honest? Do they steal? Stuff like that. Again, another very hard problem to solve, but it is solvable through conversation. If you want your partner to have more integrity, they may be very receptive to that. And they may also not be receptive. And so with these things, you can do a lot of conversation, you can do a lot of these things, but at a certain point, you do have to ask yourself, is this person the person I want to be with for the rest of my life? Do we have those values in alignment? And you can create alignment, but it can be difficult. So what are you willing to sacrifice for the relationship? So conflicting beliefs and values can be something difficult to handle, but again, not impossible. The final thing within misaligned core values and goals is lack of mutual support. And these tie into the 2 things of difference in life goals and then difference beliefs and values. So if you have these goals, these audacious goals and values, maybe your partner doesn't so much. But does he or she support you in pursuit of those goals? Because if they do, that is amazing. And for me, for example, just before I made this YouTube video, my fiance, for example, she doesn't have necessarily the life goals that I do. She doesn't want to start her own business. She doesn't make these YouTube videos, whatever. She's an elementary teacher, and that's amazing. But for her, she supports me in my vision and my goals. She's my biggest believer, and it's amazing to have that. And actually, as I was making this script and building this stuff, she brought me this awesome like charcuterie board with apples and pretzels and all this good stuff on it for me to stay fueled and not hungry and be able to continue to work. And that is super powerful. And that support is one of the biggest things that I am grateful for in my relationship. So looking at how you can support each other throughout the relationship can be really helpful. And really the fix is simply encouragement and support, and asking yourself, how can you support your partner before asking how can they support you, can be helpful in modeling this behavior and help your partner show the same behavior to you as well. So that's the first piece of misaligned core values and goals. Probably the hardest thing to overcome. Again, not impossible, just a lot of work and a lot of conversation. The second piece is unmet emotional needs. If one of the partners in the relationship feels like their needs aren't being met, that can be something difficult to deal with. And the first piece of this is lack of appreciation. If you feel like you're in the home doing a lot of the activities, or maybe you're the breadwinner and you're not being appreciated, whatever it is, however it looks for you, that can cause some resentment between partners. So the easiest way to fix lack of appreciation is actually to go to your partner today and tell them, this is what I appreciate about you and I love this about you. And I wouldn't be surprised if you haven't told them that in a while if they break down in tears. Because often we take for granted what our partners give us. And so you have to be thankful and grateful and appreciate what they do for you so they continue to do it for you. Typically, we will just tell our partners what they're doing wrong instead of appreciating for them for what they are doing right. So I challenge you, find a way to tell your partner what you are grateful for in them today. Find something, because that can eliminate that lack of appreciation. Another piece of unmet emotional needs is unfulfilled love languages. If you haven't heard of love languages, there's words of affirmation, there is gifts, there is quality time, there's physical touch, and there's acts of service. Those are the 5 love languages. And what you can do is you can take a little test to figure out your love languages, but for me personally, my love languages are quality time and physical touch. And my partner's love languages are acts of service and quality time as well. So the problem lies is that when you have different love languages from your partner, typically we think and we love our partner in the way that we would like to be loved. So for me, it might look like me coming up to my partner, giving her a hug and having a good conversation with her. But for her, the way she wants to be loved, she wants to be loved where I do an act of service with her and then I spend time with her. And so me understanding that, thinking about, okay, it's not how I want to be loved, it's how they want to be loved, or he or she wants to be loved. Think about that in your relationship. You could take a love language test, you can ask your partner to do the same, and then you could see, okay, how would they want to be loved based upon their love language? So that can really help meet emotional needs that may be unmet if you don't understand each other's love languages. One final thing in emotional needs is resentment. If you don't resolve your past issues, if you just let things and push them under the rug, you will start to resent each other. I can guarantee it. There's been periods in our relationship where we have resented to each other. And the way we fixed it is regular conversation, understanding, hey, this is something I don't appreciate. Also, being able to let go of emotions. If we wrong one another, we're pretty good about just letting it go. We talk about it and we just let it go. Let go of the emotions, don't hold the grudges, because they don't help. And then one final habit that I am so grateful we have in our relationship is that we never, and I mean never, go to bed mad at each other. I think we've gone to bed mad at each other like twice in 8 years. And so what we do is we hash it out. Even if we're up late, we figure out a way so that we can at least sleep next to each other, we can hug each other. We may not be happy with each other, but we at least understand that we're gonna get through this and we love each other still. So get resentment out of your relationship, because it builds up. It builds up and it's kind of like a hidden buildup, and then all that pressure, and then it explodes and it's a big problem. So you wanna try to eliminate resentment completely from your relationship. So that's unmet emotional needs. Conversation and thinking about what does your partner need from you can help you meet their needs. Before I get into this third and final piece, the reason these things are so important is because partner alignment really will affect your happiness. It'll affect your success. It affects your whole life. And the way I see it is our life is interconnected. Professional, relationships, resources, and health are all connected in their own way. So it makes sense to put in a lot of effort to make sure you and your partner are aligned. And the final piece is ineffective communication. If you have unspoken expectations within your relationship, that will cause misunderstanding, it will cause frustration. And the easiest way to fix unspoken expectations is to simply speak your expectations. Hey, this is what I expect of you. This is what I think that I can, or you could do for me. What can I do for you? And if you phrase it that way, hey, can we talk about just some expectations? That's what me and my fiance did great before we moved in with each other. She had expectations for me, some things she would like to see me change, and I had expectations for her, some things I would like to see her change or things I would like to see her continuing to do. And it's been very successful within our relationship to be able to break it down that way. We just say, hey, this is what we expect out of each other. We have that direct dialogue though, so you have to approach it based upon how your relationship communicates, and then encourage that you want to communicate these expectations to each other. On top of unspoken expectations, another thing with ineffective communication is poor conflict resolution. And one glaring thing that I see in so many relationships is the 4 horsemen, or Gottman's 4 horsemen. And these 4 horsemen, if you show one of these 4 horsemen, especially contempt, your relationship is 95% likely to fail. There's a 95% chance to fail. So, with this being said, Gottman's 4 horsemen are contempt, defensiveness, stonewalling, and criticism. And if I'm looking down, guys, it's because I prepare these scripts before I make these videos just so I can give you the most value possible, gather all this information, provide it. So that's why I look down throughout these videos, to look at my points and then be able to share those. So with those 4 horsemen, you want to not show those, basically. If you show those, high chance of failure. I'm not going to get into each of them. But basically, the main idea of this is simply respect. If you respect each other in your communication, you stay calm, you don't criticize the person, you don't be defensive about your actions, you don't stonewall them and refuse to talk, and you don't show contempt by mocking them or calling them names. If you show respect and don't show the horsemen throughout conversation, this will really help with conflict resolution. The final piece within ineffective communication is lack of emotional intimacy. If you don't share your feelings, if you don't share your fears, if you don't share your desires, there's no emotional intimacy. And you want to build that emotional intimacy. The beautiful thing about a partnership is that's your highest level of emotional intimacy. It's the person that you're closest with. So I would encourage you to just be open. If you're afraid to be open and you feel like your partner can't accept it, communicate that to them. But also communicate your feelings, communicate your fears, communicate your desires, because that'll bring you closer together. You want to think of yourself as a team. Instead of trying to solve problems separate, try to solve problems together as a team. What is an outcome that would benefit both of us? And you can do this through time together and talking this out. So that was 9 problems in your relationship that's probably not making you happy. If you go through and you see one of these things, you're like, oh my gosh, this is the one. I would encourage you to comment it below. You don't have to get into it, but it's helpful for me to understand what are the problems people face in relationships, because then I can make more videos about it. If you guys like this video, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.